Let's compare the two biggest math contests for elementary students. For our youngest students, we have Math Kangaroo and Math Olympiad for elementary and middle schools, abbreviated as MOEMS. Math Kangaroo is an annual contest. Students have 75 minutes to answer 24 questions, and the questions are all multiple choice. There are multiple difficulty levels. The youngest is level 1 and 2. In the US, this is for students in the first and second grade. There's also a level 3-4 for students in grades 3 and 4. This continues to the highest level, level 11-12 for high school juniors and seniors. MOEMS is a monthly exam scheduled 5 times a year from November to March. Each test paper consists of 5 questions, and students have about 30 minutes to complete. The questions are free response, and there are only 2 levels. There's the elementary, which they rate as appropriate for students in grades 4 to 6, and there's a middle school level for students in grades 6 to 8. Let's take a look at some sample exams. Here is a level 1-2 Math Kangaroo from a few years ago. Notice, of course, that there are a lot of pictures. Here in question number 3, students are asked to translate these images. Number 9 shows some pattern matching. In other exams, I've seen students having to do rotations and reflections. Here in problem 6 and 11, students are asked to interpret 3D images, sometimes having to infer information about images that are not directly visible. One thing parents should note is that even for the easiest problems, students need to be able to read these instructions in order to arrive at a solution. If your student is not a fluent reader, this will be a frustrating exercise for them. Also notice that this test is over an hour long. A lot of our younger students don't have the stamina to sit still for that length of time, but I would like to emphasize that participating in math contests at so young an age is not a strong prerequisite for math achievement at higher levels and at an older age. Apart from these visualization exercises, there isn't a lot of calculation, and we don't see number theory. We don't see any pre-algebra here, obviously because these students are just too young. If your student isn't ready to tackle an exam like this, it's definitely skippable. Let's take a look at the level 3-4 Math Kangaroo. Here again, we see a lot of cartoons and images, some pattern matching. We have some 3D visualizations, but now we're starting to see some calculations here in number 3, number 6, number 14. Let's contrast this with a MOEMS. This exam is rated for students in grades 4 to 6. I've seen some younger grade 3 students successfully participate, but younger students than grade 3 are really going to have a hard time, and this is going to be sufficiently challenging for even gifted math students. MOEMS doesn't shy away from doing actual calculations. Students can use their order of operations or even some algebra skills to solve these problems. Here, they're actually introducing some number theory, which will be useful in more challenging math contests. Recall also that in MOEMS, students have 6 minutes on average to solve each problem. With Math Kangaroo, it works out to about 3 minutes per problem. As a consequence, I think Math Kangaroo puts a greater emphasis on speed. With so many questions, many students will not even be able to finish the exam, maybe not even be able to read all 24 problems in the time allotted. In contrast with MOEMS, most students, I think, will be able to at least read all 5 problems and have plenty of time to give careful thought to a solution. I like that MOEMS encourages students to slow down and be more thoughtful. Most students by default like to show off how fast they are and often rush through the problems. And we are often in the position of encouraging students to slow down. And I think MOEMS helps a lot with that. It's also important to note that Math Kangaroo is an annual exam, and the test papers are turned in at the end of the time, and then students are dismissed. This is in contrast to MOEMS, which seems to be designed with classroom learning in mind. Students can spend the first 30 minutes taking the exam, turn in their test papers, and then the teacher can immediately review all the problems on the paper. This gives students immediate feedback on how to solve those more challenging problems. This, I believe, provides a greater and stronger learning opportunity instead of just turning in the test papers and sending the students home immediately. If you do have a very young student in first grade who enjoys manipulating images in their head, is a strong reader, and doesn't get too stressed out by time pressure, then at this youngest level, Math Kangaroo is the only option. If your student at this very young age is not ready for a math contest, don't sweat it. Wait until their later elementary years, grade 4 is perfect, and take a look at participating in MOEMS. Math Kangaroo is also a lot of fun, but in my opinion, there's more learning to be had here. If you have any questions about any math contests, please leave them in the comments.